Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster. Before we get into this Pistons season wrap up, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. I don't even know what the count is no more, but every subscriber counts. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're watching the material, commenting, and doing all that stuff. Do whatever to keep us in the algorithm. Also, make sure you subscribe to Midwest Ciphers. Make sure you subscribe to Corner to Copa. Make sure that you follow us on all the aggregators. That's anywhere you can get your audio fix. You can find us there, Post Game Podcast, FFSN. That's anywhere you want to listen to a podcast. You can find us. Just type in there and you'll find the Post Game Podcast, FFSN. It looks like a Pistons colored theme type thing, and I got the wrong emblem up there. We new and improved up there. So, but anyway, boss, how you been, man?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to do just a Pistons Central show as opposed to a Central Division show. So we can kind of hit the ground running on this off-season talk.
Unfortunately, it is the off-season, man, and let's just go back a little bit because I know Pistons fans like myself was kind of disappointed how the season ended. We had a very good run, and I'm going to say this, and I can't help it because when you're in the field, and when I say in the field of covering a team, and you go through a season. I said someone. Pause. When you go through a season where you're 14-68 and you're reporting every week what's going on during the week, when you endure a 28-game losing streak, and that's, they play about 3 or 4 games a week. So let's vision 8 or 9 weeks of just losing and having to, talk about it. It was painful. So to go from that to this is remarkable to me. So that's a feat in itself, to go from 14-68 to 60-22 in 2 seasons, with a season with promise, with optimism going forward as far as the direction of the organization. I think is great. There's no moral victories. I'm just saying what it is, right? Pistons lose to Cleveland, 7-game series. It's tough. I was very disappointed in 2 games. 3 games, 3 out of the 7. The game 7, where we picked the wrong day to play horribly. Just a bad game for us. Cleveland deserved that win. You can't play like that game 7 at home. If you're away, I get it. But at home, you must win game 7s at home. Right? And I'm not making any excuses or this, that, and other, or what happened, this, that, and other. You got to play better. You got to be better. You got to win game 7 at home. That's why you go 60-22, so you can have that advantage.
Right.
And the Pistons played like they didn't have that advantage. They just didn't play well. There was another game, and I can't remember which we lost at home, where Cade just simply turned the ball over. He had 2 inbounding turnovers. It was just a sloppy game. Max Strus was playing some heck of a defense as well. But that was one game where we were winning and we lost it at the end, and we could have won. And then the no call of Ausar Thompson at the end of was a game 5 where he got bumped, knocked down at the end of regulation. He goes to the free throw line and knocks 1 down, and we probably win that game.
That was regular. That was the end of regulation.
It was the end of regulation, yeah. We probably win that game. Oh, we win that game if he knocks the free throw. But they swallowed the whistle, pause, and let it go. So, aside from that, the Pistons improved from last year from a first round exit to a second round exit, 7 games. 1 game away from the Eastern Conference Championship. Eastern Conference Championship, where Cleveland is now down 3-0 versus the Knicks. And I think I've been talking too much, Foster. You can chime in, man, because I can go on, man.
Yeah, we definitely had some opportunities to win that series, that last series. We started out 2-0 at home, and we just let a couple games slip out of our hands. And then game 7, we just had nothing. We had absolutely nothing, top to the bottom. And Cleveland just looked like they wanted it more. Jared Allen was playing out of his mind. Dern looked sluggish as he looked the entire playoffs. And I don't think Tobias scored. I think he had they just had no gas left in the tank. So Cleveland, it looks like they could have just stayed home. They're in danger of getting swept, which is kind of crazy considering New York and them shouldn't be that one-sided in my opinion. So it's looking like it's going to be New York versus whoever, wins between OKC and San Antonio. But very overall pretty encouraging year, going from getting eliminated in 6 last year to, pushing Cleveland to the brink of elimination in round 2. So we got something to build upon, but we got some work to do, because the Eastern Conference, this was the year, honestly. I hate to say, this was a year to kind of creep up on teams and take advantage, because, Tatum was out all year. Giannis was hurt. What else? Yeah, Tatum. Giannis was hurt. Tatum. Halliburton was out all year.
The whole disabandonment of the Pacers.
Yeah.
Chicago down year. This was definitely a year to take it back.
Orlando, I mean, they were a team that was supposed to ascend because they went out and got a score in Bane. So they kind of pushed all the chips into the table, and yet and still they almost put us out when it's all said and done. So we got some things to contend with next year, because we kind of won 60 in spite of the fact that we had a lot going on in our organization. We had a collapsed lung from Cade. We had a Beasley situation that we had to kind of switch lanes on. So we had a lot going on ourselves. I don't think anybody expected us to win 60 games. We got some good, we saw the development of Dern that ultimately kind of fell on its face in the playoffs, but he had a great season. Javonte Green was a guy that we didn't necessarily expect, but probably the craziest one was Dennis Jenkins developing, because I didn't even talk about how Ivy that Ivy situation just went awry as well. I mean, he was supposed to be a part of that young core allegedly. So we had some things go. We had some things go for us. It was a crazy year, to say the very least.
Yeah. You said it. So it was a lot going on. And me, myself, going into the season, if you'd have told me we win the East and go 60-22, I'd have been like, nah, we're not there yet.
No.
I still would have put Boston ahead of us without Tatum. I still would have put Cleveland ahead of us, and I would have put the Knicks ahead of us. I figured, and you can go back and watch the shows that we did over the summer last year. I said 4th or 5th seed. We was the 5th seed last year. I said we should be 4th. At least we should improve and be the 4th seed. And we were the number 1 seed. And like it or not, like I said, we're not looking for moral victories. We're just telling you what it is. This year was an improvement of our team. And I think going forward, which we will talk about, we can be better. We can be a lot better. There was a time where me and Foster was going back and forth about. I think the Pistons went on a little bit of a losing streak, and I was like, I was pretty optimistic still, and Foster was like, "We need this. We need this. We're not going to be able to contend." So it wasn't like we were sitting there thinking that, you know, we're going to win it all. I mean, Foster was sitting here saying, during our conversations, that we just was missing a few pieces and needed some things in order to compete. And I thought it was just because of the losing streak we were going through, and I'm like, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. But if you'd have told, even then, I didn't think we'd win the Eastern Conference, and I didn't think we'd win the championship right now. I think we're too young, and we need a couple of pieces in order to be considered an elite team. I was surprised by the 60-22. I was surprised by winning the East. It just, that caught me by storm.
And it's funny because I remember that time frame because we had just lost to Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And Cade was out. Cade was out, I think. And then we lost the back-to-back to somebody else not good. Not as bad as Brooklyn, of course.
We lost to the Wizards at one point. They hit every shot they could.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So, yes, that might have been around the same time. But this was previous to Cade having the collapsed lung situation. So once that happened, team took off without Cade.
I think we went, 7-2 without Cade?
Yeah, it was 6-2, 7-2, 1-2.
2 overtime losses. One was to OKC, and there was another overtime loss to, I want to say it was the Heat.
Yeah, and it was in the midst of
no, that was Atlanta. We had an overtime
Atlanta.
Loss. It was Atlanta and OKC, both overtime losses, but we won the rest of our games pretty handily without Cade.
And not only was Cade out, this was in the midst of the suspensions with Duren and Stewart. So we had a lot of stuff going on, and we never really had a hitch in our step. We pretty much kept a straight line throughout all of it.
I think Dennis Jenkins during those 9 games turned up.
Oh, well, he's so funny because I don't know what he's got against coming off the bench, but unless he start, when he's starting, especially when he's running the show, because even when Duncan was out during the playoffs, and he got a chance to start, he was solid. But he loves running the show. That's just how he is. I really hope that he comes. I hope that he gets in the weight room, comes back stronger. He could really be something.
I was gonna say, Foster, like off season with his confidence and just if he puts in the work, he could be your 2 guard. Or he could be your you know what I'm saying? He could be out. He could start with Cade.
The combo, yeah.
He can earn that. And I think that would bode well. And I've been saying this, like Cade needs another primary ball handler out there with him during crucial times. I think we sometimes wear him down. And I think he got worn down during Cleveland.
And he was playing with a broken rib too. So like, when you look at some of those plays and it's like, it's a little just seemed like he's not going full strength. He's not exerting 100% of effort. He was probably just dragging wind. Like he probably just hadn't, he was trying to preserve himself to get through, game after game after game. Can you imagine if you beat New York and you got to play OKC for 5-6 games? Like there's so many games left in all of that.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break, and I want to talk about Mr. Duren when we get back. All right. I got a few things to say about Mr. Duren. If you're watching, give us about 15 seconds. If you're listening, You're going to hear some wonderful ads. Let me find the stuff we need to do. Okay. Check this out, though.
It's B. Foster and June on the Post Game Podcast for your Detroit Pistons talk.
We'll be right back. Mr. Duren. I have nothing bad to say about Jalen Duren. I'm gonna let me preface this because it's not what you think. But Jalen Duren had a very good season. Very good season. It's easy to forget because he had 2 series where he didn't play so well, right? Didn't play well versus the Magic, didn't play well versus Cleveland. And it's okay. It's okay. We have to remember, how old is Jalen Duren, bro?
22.
You got to remember, Jalen Duren is 22, right? He had a great offseason that led to this season. He was making a cause to be the Robin that we needed. We got a Batman. And he made his case of being that Robin during the season, right? Now, Foster, I didn't read this anywhere. This is what a friend of mine told me, and maybe you've heard it somewhere. But I was told that Duren was hurt and not at 100%, which a lot of people aren't.
Right.
But they say he was playing through an injury these last 2 series. And if that's the case, you could see it. Now, do you know of anything like that, Foster?
Well, if you look at the second half of the season, you look at the injury report, these are games that he may not have missed games, but there was an understanding that something was going on. All you see is knee, ankle, knee. And you could see him laboring, getting up and down the court. He did not have the same burst. He didn't have the same motor. It was pretty obvious. And this dude's a big fella. This dude is every bit of 6'10", 260. But yeah, I and even in the last game of the season, I don't think he played, and it said knee management. There was some things going on. I think there was an understanding amongst the organization that he's not 100%, regardless of, we all have nicks and bruises and stuff like that. But if you can't do it, you can't do it. He's very dependent upon his lift, his, your knees and your ankles when you're 6'10", they're gonna take it's gonna take a lot out of you to get up and down the court, especially with that much weight. So as rough as it was to watch him get outplayed by Jared Allen and Wendell Carter, I get it. And I commend him for giving it his all. Maybe JB should have been a little bit more judicious with his minutes and giving Paul Reed some more opportunities, because he was a major boost for us, but still an immense amount of upside. Took several steps forward during the regular season this year, and I think he's going to be around for the foreseeable future. He's 22 years old. There's so much prime basketball left for that young guy.
Trajan Langdon was interviewed, and they said they were going to the table and they were going to have a sit down with Jalen Duren to extend his contract. So the plans are to extend him and give him a deal. What that deal is, whether it's going to be maxed out or not, I have no idea. However, there are plans to bring back Jalen Duren. So I'm hopeful they get it done. I am not going to judge that man off 2 playoff series in comparison to what he did all season. And I know what he can bring. So I am all for Jalen Duren. I'm hoping that whatever it is that's been ailing him, if that's the case, he heals. I hope he has a great offseason and is back next October. and ready to ball out. But there's no secret about him no more. Like teams are going to really, really like he crept up on people this year. He really did. I don't know why, but me and Foster knew it. But as you notice later on the season, those lobs and pick and rolls just weren't there no more. Like they're gaming for it. And all he has to do is, put in the work in the offseason, be able to create his own, and he'll be fine. And we've seen glimpses of that where he can create his own shot, take the ball off the dribble. I would love to see him develop and take that little mid-range jumper and, be successful at it. If he does that, it'll be a world of trouble for a lot of people. This is a good segue for off-season plans. We just talked about Jalen Duren being signed, and there's some roster moves I like to see happen. And this is unscripted. I'm just bringing this up, Foster, and I'm sure Foster has thought about it. But Foster, I believe there's some moves that got to be made.
Okay.
If we want to be better, so what do you mean? You're 60-22. No, we have to be better in the playoffs. We don't have to win 65 games next year. We just need to advance we need to be in the Eastern Conference Championship. So I'm talking about ascending from second round playoff all the way to be in the Eastern Conference champs. Like there's some things that we need to do to get there. There's some acquisitions. There's some players we need to retain. There's some decisions that need to be made about this roster. I'm going to ask you, Foster. This is unscripted, and I'm putting you on the spot. You got your GM hat on. What are you doing to improve this Pistons team?
I think you got to go out and get for one, you got to make a decision on Tobias Harris. Obviously, he's got a lot of money coming off the books. I think he made $25 million the last 2 years.
Ooh.
He 100%, despite the fact that he was a hero in the first series of last against Orlando. I feel like you got to figure out what's a common ground. I'm sure they've already come to the table to discuss what makes sense for them. Because essentially Tobias made himself some money. Might have garnered a little bit more interest anyways.
Wait, hold on. I want you to keep going.
Yeah.
But I want you to stop after you talk about Tobias because I got something to say about that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. So, I think he garnered some interest in the playoffs this season. Obviously he's a, kind of a beloved veteran guy. He's making his second, his second return, his return to Detroit, where he's got a lot of roots here. And, he's the vet that kind of lifted us up. When that first season that we made the playoffs, he was the first guy we went and got outside of Malik Beasley. So, you got to see if we can possibly try to retain him on a more friendly deal because we got some money to pass out because Duren's about to get paid and so is the SAR. So we have to be cautious with how we play that. I mean, because he's our starting power forward right now. Do we see him being a starting power forward next year? I don't know. Getting older.
When it comes to Tobias, I have no bad things to say. I just think he simply that game 7, he just like the rest, a couple other people just kind of ran out of gas. And I've been saying this since he got here. For him to be your starting power forward, and this is not a knock to him. He's a great defender for his size. He defends the post very well. He can score from all three levels. I think if you had someone, if you could bring him off the bench, he would be much more effective during playoff season. This, that, and that. You save some of his legs, you save some of that mileage and everything else. You bring him off the bench, but you have to be in a position to where you can have someone and start and put in the work that he would usually do in that starting role. So with Tobias Harris, Is he here for next season, or is that a decision they have to make, Foster?
That's a decision they have to make. He's a free agent this year. We signed him to we signed him to a 2-year, $50 million deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we have to see where he wants to be, and try to get a bit of a discount. There's going to be some teams that'll say, "Hey, we can use him off the bench. He's that vet we need that can get us over the hump." And there's going to be team asking for his services, whether you believe it or not. He's a wanted man as far as free agency.
Harris has made $500 million in his career. So I like to think that money can't move him, but hey, these guys want it all. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, we got a couple comments. Woodage 8434 says Pistons need a number 2 shot creator, somebody like Ayo or Kobe. Maybe bring Beasley back on the vet minimum. Duran needs to take a pay cut after his playoff performance. Probably needs a young power forward.
A lot.
I agree with a lot of it. As far as a pay cut, I'm assuming you're talking about as far as a pay cut from the extension, as far as not giving him the max. As far as a pay cut from what he's getting now, no.
No.
He's going to get more money, but he probably ruined his bargaining chip for the max with that playoff performance. I will say that. Wutich also says Pistons probably need to trade Holland and give all their confidence to Thompson for their small forward of the future. I'm going to say this. I love Ron Holland. I love what he brings to the table. He did not play a lot during the postseason. And the times he did play, he played pretty well. If you can get what you need with him, it's just business. You do what you got to do. I don't want to see him go, but you got to do what you got to do. And I think there are some suitors. There's people that would love to bring in Ron Holland. Oscar Thompson is your number 3 of the future. And I think they both, Thompson and Holland, and I said this last year, need to go into the offseason and really work on that shot. Really work on that shot. Holland's shot looks good. He's confident. The form looks good. It just, it's just not where it needs to be.
Oh.
And I think, you put together, there's some pieces here you can put together and go out and get a young power forward. You talked about Tobias Harris. What else you doing, Foster?
Yeah, no, I agree as far as the Ron Holland situation. I think it's one or the other as far as him and Asar. And obviously Asar is got heavy minutes and and ended up being an all first team. There's no need to have 2 between him and Holland on the team long term. You would have to bank on one of them developing a shot, and it just doesn't work like that. You don't go from 20% to 40, 35. Yeah, 40 would be 40 and amazing, but they pretty much both stagnated over the last 2 years. I think Holland has some value because he is just 20 years old and has shown the potential. I mean, I remember he had a game against the Pelicans. I think he scored like 30 points or something like that. But outside of that, Woodage is right on top of it. A couple guys that I wrote down, Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White, guys that have the potential to start or come off the bench. But Ayo's a sharpshooter, a guy that has pretty good size, long arms.
Good
yeah. And then Kobe White is a bona fide bucket. That dude just knows how to score. He can play some point guard in a pinch. And he had a weird year last year where he dealt with some calf injuries, but and then of course trade rumors going into the deadline, ultimately gets traded to Charlotte. But the last 2 years prior to that, he averaged 20 points a game. So he's a guy that You know, I think that, you know, as much as I love what Danny Jenkins can do, I'd love to have a guy that I can depend on and has done it, you know, has scored, you know, 20 points a game. And, you know, although Io has never, I don't think he's ever got the minutes necessary to do that. Kobe White is definitely a bona fide scorer. So I like both those guys. They're projected to make anywhere from 16-ish to 18 million. But guys that we're familiar with, guys that we've played against in Chicago, you know, played against in Chicago for many, many years. But they have their flaws because, you know, Io actually grades out defensively a little under what I would expect for his build and his athleticism. And Kobe White, same thing, more of the one side of the court. But you know what? We have a nice infrastructure around them that can protect them. You got Stewart, you got Asar, you got Cade, who is a bona fide defender as well. So you don't worry about it as much because you do have some guys within the team already that can kind of protect them.
Okay. Question. You have, and this is, you know, this is just what it is. Question. Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson, how many years are left on their deals and are they staying?
So Karis LeVert's got one more year.
If you're the GM, I'm sorry.
You say that one more time.
Are they staying if you're the GM?
I think you find any way to get Karis up out of here. It's going to be tough though because he makes 14 million next year, and it's fully guaranteed. So yeah, I think that ultimately you'd have to trade him as filler, you know, a salary filler, or with the draft pick to get him off, similar to what we did with the. I think that's what Dallas did to get Hardaway off their books. I think they sent a pick. I know we gave him Grimes, but yeah, LeVert, you know, I like what he brought defensively. He actually had one really good game against Cleveland where he had like 24 points. But he's been a massive disappointment. I feel like he's just lost a step throughout his career. As far as Duncan Robinson, I want to say next year is not guaranteed. Let me see. 2 million guaranteed.
I will say this, Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
And you said it earlier in the season, and I didn't want to go back and forth about it, but we're kind of in trouble if he should start shooting guard. If you can bring him off the bench, it would be a much better situation for him and us.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a guy that you can play the matchups with, but certainly, you know, push come to shove, you got a guy like a Harden out there. Yeah, that's not who you want. That's not who you want Duncan Robinson having to guard. Next year, I mean, as it stands right now, we need him because he's our lone, you know, outside, you know, sharpshooter outside. You know, he did the best that he could given his limitations. But technically, we could cut our losses and eat the 2 million next year if we wanted to. And then 2027 is also non-guaranteed at all. Actually, it's fully guaranteed. The 15 million is fully guaranteed after January 2027. So when is that?
January coming up.
Right. So that means before the All-Star break next year, the 15 is fully guaranteed. But anyways, yeah, we could eat the 2 million this year if we wanted to get rid of him and open up some. We would have to have something cooking if we were going to do that because right now we need him.
Yeah, I mean,
but LeVert's fully guaranteed. There's nothing we can do about that outside of shipping him out with somebody else because I don't think anybody's just dying to have Karis and his 14 million right now.
Okay. Yeah, I expected more out of Karis LeVert. I did.
For sure.
During the season, during the playoffs, I expected more. Just wasn't there. As far as Duncan Robinson, I foresee him. You keeping him unless you can put something together, but you have to replace that 3-point shooting. We were lacking in 3-point shooting this year with him, and he's the second leading all-time Piston with 3-point goals during the season, only second to Beasley.
And
Go ahead.
I was going to say that brings my point to what Woodage said, as far as if we could get Malik Beasley for the vet minimum, and pair that with Ayo or Kobe, I think that we could deal with eating the $2 million that Duncan would cost us to move off him, because that would save us. What did I say? I think he's making $16 million next year. That would save us $14 million if we could release him and or trade him. Yeah, that we could get off we could eat the $2 million as opposed to the 16.
Paul Reed. What are we doing with Paul Reed?
Paul Reed signed. Is signed through next year, so we don't have to make a decision on him yet. He's on a I would assume a reasonable contract. He's probably going to warrant a lot on the market, or a decent amount on the market next year. But that's something that we don't even have to. That's something that we don't even have to face with right now. He's making 11 for 2 years, so 5.5. He's making 5.5 next year.
Okay. Paul Reed, for me, is he can be a Pistons as long as he want to be, man.
Well, it's gonna cost us soon.
It's gonna cost us soon, but he's the ultimate professional. He doesn't complain about minutes, and when he gets his opportunity, he comes in and he plays. Probably
my favorite player this year on a sneak tip. Obviously Cade is amazing, and and Duren wasn't all. Cade and Duren were all-stars this year, but Reed, something about Reed. You always rock with Reed, though.
Yeah, because he got here. Yeah. Kevin Huerter.
It's crazy because there was a spurt. There was a nice little 3-week spot where he was really working, and then I don't know if he was, because he was barely dressing for games, and they were, peppering in, possible injuries that he might have, but I never really saw or heard too much about it. But he's somebody that we can kind of go. I mean, it would have to make sense. He would be an interesting Duncan Robinson replacement for a cheaper price, possibly, but I just think that it didn't have enough. I would have liked to have had him for an entire year. It was kind of an incomplete grade for me because he didn't really get a lot of minutes, and then during the playoffs, he only played one game, and that was the game that Duncan Robinson was hurt. So,
okay,
what could have been? I'll just say.
What could have been Javonte Green.
Man, Javonte Green was very much above expectations throughout the season. Another guy that when the playoffs hit, the minutes were cut down to a minimum. But I can see somebody chancing and throwing a nice bag at him because he was the epitome of 3 in defense. He knocked down the 3 at a much better clip than he's ever knocked it down, and he was the ultimate energy defense, flew all over the court, and he ended some games for us because where Asar wasn't a threat offensively, he was kind of an issue out there on the outside. Not too much else though, no mid-range. he get out in transition, but yeah, he was more dangerous than we would have expected.
Sasser.
Another guy that what could have been. He actually was getting some serious playing. He was actually getting some legit playing time late in the Cleveland series, and he gave us a little bit of an offensive punch, but it just never came all the way together for him. I think that he's another guy that could possibly command a bag if they needed some, scoring off the bench. He never got above that. He never got above that third string point guard role for us, because he just never, he just didn't have it for him to be 6 foot. He never had that floor general in him. He was always a scorer first, and I would love for him to come back on a cheap deal, but I don't think JB was a big fan of I don't think JB or Monty was a big fan of Sasser.
Okay, so in a nutshell, we have let me go back to this. We have 5 free agents, 2 restricted, 3 unrestricted. The restricted free agents are Jalen Duren, which we expect for him to be re-signed, and you have Wendell Moore Jr. as a restricted free agent. I don't expect him to be here. And your unrestricted free agents, these are people that you either have to make a deal with or they're gone. Tobias Harris, Kevin Huerter, Javonte Green. And I will say, out of those 3, I expect to keep at least one of those 3. At least one of those 3.
Huerter, Harris, Green.
One of those 3 are staying. Maybe 2, but I doubt it.
I think it's Harris. I think Green goes somewhere.
Green goes and get a bag.
Yeah.
I think Harris may stay. He won't get a crazy contract, but and I think we say bye to Huerter. I think it was good while I was here. I also think with what you have in-house, you could put together a package and get another key piece. With LeVert, Sasser, Holland.
So Sasser's not a free agent?
No.
Okay.
No. So
I don't know why I thought that.
There's some pieces of the puzzle that you can go out and get a player, but that doesn't look that doesn't look crazy appetizing to get someone. I'll get a return on that.
And I have to throw a pick in there somewhere because LeVert, I just can't. I can't convince the next man to take that on. Like pause, but
yeah, you had to pause that. Pause. Now that you mentioned it, draft picks. Are we looking? I mean, we draft what? What's the what? Where are we drafting? And are you looking forward to? I think it's either 17 or 21. I can't remember. I think it's 21.
So we acquired in the Huerter deal. We swapped with Minnesota. So we will be picking at 21.
21.
Yeah. 21.
There's a player that I think that fits the mold very, very well at that 21 pick if he's available. But he had a tremendous NBA draft camp where he went and he shot the lights out the ball for his size.
Okay. I wonder if we're thinking of the same guy.
I'm thinking Marenz Johnson, 6'9" power forward out of Michigan. Yes.
Oh, I would love to. I think he'll be gone though.
He will be gone because of that workout. His measurables, I think he had like a 40-some inch vertical at 6'9". He was legitimate 6'9". He had the wingspan. He had a 7'3" wingspan, and he did not miss a shot. He did not. He hit every three he took, every jump shot he took. He did not miss a shot in that workout, and it was in front of all the NBA scouts. They saw what they needed to see. Now, before that, he was projected to go anywhere from pick 20 to the second round, and I think he improved that, which means somebody is falling. You know, somebody moves up, that means somebody moves back.
For sure.
You don't have to say the person, but what position are you drafting for at 21, if available?
I think ideally you can go out and get a combo guard. If there's a future, if there's a future four out there, maybe. Although that's kind of with Chaz Lanier. I don't know what they think too much of Chaz Lanier. He had a very I don't think you let that influence you, but I think that the most obvious one is a combo guard.
Good morning, Dave. Yeah, I think, but I do think you take the best at 21. You're going to take the best player available. There's just no doubt.
I think you don't pick a center,
except a center.
Yeah,
center. However, you're going to take. You need a scorer, right?
100%.
You need a scorer, a person that can flat out score from all three levels if you can. But if Morez Johnson is there and you need a power forward, you go grab that young man.
No doubt about it.
You go grab that young man. I think he'll be gone because of that workout.
Yeah. And
because of what his actual size. But this draft is a lot better than it's been in the past few years. So I think we will get a good pick at 21. It just, you have to plan strategically. I've heard several names, and we're going to have a show, Foster, where we talk about, we didn't do any prospects last year.
NBA?
Yeah, we didn't do any.
How did we end up doing that? I don't know how that happened.
But I'm off every other weekend. We can do some profile. We got to, because that draft is on the way. I know the season's not over, but that draft will be here, and we're going to cover it, because I think that's whatever we can get at 21 could possibly help us. Pistons got some work to do roster wise, and I think we have some key players in some key places, and I think we'll be okay going forward. I didn't expect us to win the Eastern Conference this year. Didn't. That's just what it is.
Just to give you a heads up, the most recent mock draft has Morez Johnson going number 16 to the Memphis Grizzlies, taking over as the predecessor to Jaren Jackson, which is interesting because Jackson went to State. So replacing a State guy with a Michigan guy at 16. So
it's going to take a lot of money to get that other guy from Michigan State.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he just got traded to the Jazz, so he should be there for the foreseeable future. The Jazz is a team to watch out for. They are building something out there.
Okay. We didn't talk about possible free agent acquisitions. I know you brought up Kobe and Ayo.
Yeah.
Outside of those two, Mr. GM Foster, who would you like to bring in here that would make a difference?
Well, another name, well, two of them. I'll give you two. Another name that I've been seeing linked to us a lot is Rui Hachimura, who is kind of
I've been saying that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so he's like a Tobias-esque guy, a fringe 3-4 guy. He can shoot the lights out the ball. He's very highly efficient. I mean, he's played in LA, so he doesn't get a whole lot of opportunities, a lot of shots to be had for Luka and Reeves and LeBron. But he's a good floor spacer.
Get him in here. I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. So my only reservations is he's for him to be 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan. He's not a good rim defender in the slightest. He doesn't defend, particularly well for his size, and he's not a playmaker. Like he's kind of a black hole. He's not really a playmaker. When it goes to him, it ain't coming back. But he's a good shooter. But he's a good shooter though. So
I'm all for that though. I'm sorry.
Okay, you rock with Roy.
I rock with that. Who was the second person?
The other guy is Quentin Grimes, which is a player that we had briefly in Detroit during our dark days. Similar to Kevin Huerter, didn't get a lot of opportunities to really play and get opportunities. He was dealing with a lot of inconsistencies and injuries at the time, but he's been, since he's got to Dallas and then most recently in Philly, he's been a good bench scorer, a good volume scorer off the bench. I mean, Philly's had a lot of guards. They had that young guy from Duke. What's his name? The one that got traded to OKC. I can't think of his name, but McCain. I always want to call him McCall. They had McCain. They had Edgecombe. They had Paul George. They had Kelly Oubre. A lot of guards in Philly. But yeah, he's a guy that can go and get a bucket. He can create. There was some speculation that he didn't want to be in Detroit. Obviously, we were terrible at the time. I don't know how he still feels about it now. But there's a nice core of Houston, Texas connected guys, or just Texas in general. You got Cade, you got Sasser. He played with Sasser at Rutgers. Ron Hollins from Texas. So, to reunite him as a combo guard would be a decent look. Another guy that's not defensive minded, but he does have good size, good athleticism. I love his game, even when he was drafted in New York, but he is a bit of a journeyman. He's moved around New York, Detroit, Dallas, and now Philly, and he's like 26 years old. So I don't know, but Quentin Grimes, dude, I don't know how much you watch him, but I love his game. Okay, tell me why. Tell me specifically why.
I'm judging him off his last stint here.
Oh,
and it's unfair.
He didn't really play here. You know that.
It's very unfair. It's very unfair and the reason I did that is because he went elsewhere and looked the part. So I'm kind of pissed off.
That team was a mess, though.
It was. And on the flip side, there was plenty of opportunity to show.
He didn't play though.
He was hurt a lot. But I get it. But okay. I would welcome him here. I would do this all day. But when he got here, he would definitely have my support. So
he played 75 games the last 2 seasons. Each.
75 games
each.
Both seasons or total?
Each. You know what each is? You know what each
average is, 75 games last 2. Okay.
That's better than everybody on the team.
That's pretty good. That's
on our team. That's damn good.
Well, Javonte Green, the only person that played every game.
Javonte Green did play another check mark for him for sure.
Man, keep Javonte, bro. Out of those, well, no, I can't say that. If you're going to keep Tobias, if you had the second person to keep Javonte Green, bro.
The reason why I'm pulling for him to get paid by whoever,
because he deserves a bag.
Yeah, he deserves a bag, but I mean, this guy went to like a D3 school. He's bounced around. I think he's played in Europe a little bit. Like, this is his one chance at the age of 28, 29. I mean, he's not super young. This is his one chance to go and make $30-40 million, maybe. I think.
I salute Javonte Green. I was all in for Javonte. So hey, Foster.
That's a guy you said womp womp on when he first came to town too.
No,
No?
no, I didn't know of him at all.
Yeah, you
but
didn't really know him. That's what it was. Yeah.
then I watched a lot of his tape, and I'm like, hey man, this guy he could do some stuff. And he got here and he shot better from 3-point land than he's ever shot. And I'm like, he's a good defender. He comes off the bench. He brings energy. He hits the outside shot. I'm a Javonte Green fan
For
real.
sure.
Foster, we are nearing that hour. Put a bow on this, man, because we have another show after this. We have a Detroit Lions show. Make sure you are subscribed to Bleachers to Speakers. If you're watching on Instagram, I put the link in Instagram Live. Subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers. Make sure you subscribe. I can't say enough. We need those subscribers. If you're already subscribed, hit the like button, watch the material, share, tell a friend, comment, do whatever you got to do. Foster, put a bow on us so we can get out of here.
I'll just say successful season, 60-22. Definitely left a little bit to be desired in the end. I think he did have some opportunities to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I will say that Trajan Langdon has done an excellent job so far, creating 2 winning seasons for Detroit. But, it's going to be a little tougher next year, and he's got some work to do. Some things that I definitely want to talk about moving forward that we didn't really get a chance to talk about is who some of those big name trade candidates could be, because I think it is time for Trajan Langdon to get a little, take some chances and be a little bit more just risque with his decision making. So that's going to be the next, next order of business for him. And yeah, I definitely want to, now that we have time, really start talking about draft prospects. And, I want to do a lot of, profiles and stuff like that, because we did, like you said, we didn't do any last year. And we didn't do a lot of football ones either. So
no. Yeah, that about do it, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channels. Make sure we subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers. Make sure you follow us on all the aggregators for your audio fix. All you have to do is type in Post Game Podcast FFSN in your search, and you can find us anywhere you want to listen to a podcast. Sometimes you don't want to watch podcasts. Sometimes you want to just listen. And while you're working, while you're in the car, while you're cleaning the house, just go ahead and you can find us on any audio based. Just find us, man. Just find us. Foster, it was a great show. We are nearing that hour mark, so we are going to get out of here. Subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube.
Thank you.